Grapperinos, and welcome to another exciting episode of Probably Next Week on Raw. I'm Brian, and I'm once again joined by angry John Cena fan, still reeling from Saturday. Mike, say hi, Mike.
Do you want me to go off on a tirade about? Do you want to discuss the finish now, or do you want to wait until we're done with the episode? Because
um,
I feel like we're going to spend a good 10 minutes discussing what happened last night.
it's you know what? As someone who predicted that John Cena would lose, I feel like this is a therapy session where I'm the therapist, and you are just the patient. So
So
you know what?
I
I'm gonna
knew,
I'm gonna let you go off here.
I knew that John was probably going to lose this one. Okay, I had some maybe like some hope that he might win because again, I thought that Gunther didn't really need the win to do anything to his career. You kind of at the point of diminishing returns for him when it comes to what he's already been world champion. He's the longest reigning IC title champion of all time. He beat Goldberg. I don't know what more you need for Gunther to be solidified as like another big star. And beating John Cena really didn't seem like it would actually give that much to him versus a guy like LA Knight. Um, but that being said, I would admit I am still completely fine with Gunther beating John Cena. That's fine. I mean, it's his last match, whatever, it's expected. But to have John Cena tap out is is a very questionable decision to me because and the way he did it too. I don't know if you saw the photo of how he did it. Like
Yes, yes, I
he
did.
was
Yeah.
smirking,
Well,
almost like
smiling,
he
kind of. Yeah.
yeah, almost like he didn't tap out. Sort of how Gunther tapped out to Jey Uso, where he just kind of was like, you know what, I'm done. I'm gonna head out, and just tapped out because he just wanted to leave. Which maybe there's some deeper meaning into it that I'm not seeing, where it's like, well, actually, he's doing it because he's going out on his own terms, and he's saying, yeah, you know what, I'm good with this. You can leave now. Sure, but I mean, it's John Cena we're talking about. I would have. I feel that the Triple H tries to overbook this shit sometimes, and it would really benefit him and the storyline overall if he just kept it simple and just had him get KO'd by the sleeper, and then that was it. So, but we're past it. We're over it. It's done. I'm actually glad that we're done with this retirement tour because it's been pretty mid,
Yeah.
honestly.
Yeah.
Other than him getting his Grand Slam finally in Boston, that was nice. But other than that, it's been pretty mid, and I'm just glad to have this done and over with, and John can go retire in peace. And yeah, we're done until he gets brought back in 10 years for a Saudi show. So
Oh, well, that's a different story, man. I don't know if John Cena would be that kind of guy who would accept maybe if his Hollywood career was in a slump, then I guess sure he'd be down for a cameo or something. I don't think he would be down for a match necessarily. I think he'll just take the sort of appearance fee and just be like, okay, I'll appear somewhere and just appear there and I'll get my money, right? I don't think John Cena is going to have another match. As far as I'm concerned, I think that this would be the last one, and that's sort of it when it comes to his matches. I don't think it means that we're never gonna see him again. I think it just means that from a match performer kind of wrestler standpoint, I think Cena is not going to wrestle anymore after this, but he is still going to appear at some point in the future. And I do see a lot of people complaining and there's this sort of divisiveness when it comes to the finish of the match, and I can understand both sides. I expected Cena to lose as well. I expected Gunther to win. I did not expect the finish to happen this way, however. And a lot of people seem to want to blame Triple H because obviously Triple H is the executive producer, he is the booker or head booker, I should say. He's the one that calls a lot of the match finishes, right? And the match outcomes. And As far as that is concerned, you can blame him for a lot of things in John Cena's final year, and we talked about it earlier. The fact that the last time is now tournament to determine his final opponent has been predictable as hell. The fact that most of his matches don't have any story. The fact that John Cena, when he was a bad guy, there was nothing to follow up on. That went absolutely nowhere. And so they had to turn him back into a good guy again. Like all of these things you can blame Triple H for. I would not blame Triple H on the finish, however. I think that the finish on Saturday it felt like Cena's call. It didn't feel like Triple H was calling that finish and just saying, this is what we want to do, go do it. I think this is John Cena being asked, how he wanted to go out in the match, and in his head, this is how he wanted to go out. So I think the people complaining and just shouting, stuff like you effed up at Triple H, I think that's more about how they handled his retirement tour rather than the match itself. And that's valid. Like, his retirement tour is pretty bad most of the time. And, you know, the way they handled his final year is not that great. Imagine how he would do it for people like AJ Styles next year, for example. Like AJ Styles is gonna retire next year. I wonder how they're gonna mess that up, right? So there's a lot to blame Triple H on, but I think that finish was Cena's call. That is how he wanted to go. That is how this is all my opinion, obviously, but I think that is what Cena wanted his career to end on. And sure, you can complain about Gunther's an established guy, and he's been a champion already. All right, well that's partially to blame on on Triple H, obviously, right? He handpicked Gunther, although Cena agreed to it, right? He could have just told Triple H, no, I don't want Gunther, but he didn't. He said yes. So that's how we kind of got here, right? It's Triple H and Cena, in my opinion, working together to figure out who his final opponent should be, and that finish was Cena's call, in my opinion. So I I can see from both sides how it's both good and bad. And in my opinion, I think that the finish could have been better executed, although I can understand where they're coming from. And I know we're sort of talking about the finish way too long here before we even get to what happens next, but this is sort of a point of contention. And it may play into what happens next. But basically, in my opinion, him sort of tapping out to Gunther is kind of like some people read it as like, he's not tapping out with regards to his character or whatever. He's tapping out to the business, in that his time is obviously up, right? And this is his final year. Time is catching up to him, and also in terms of the match sort of the match structure, he tried everything that he can to break out of Gunther's sleeper holds time and time again, and every attempt had an answer. And at that point, Cena's like, okay, well, I've tried everything. That's it. That's it for me, right? And I think that's kind of like symbolic of what he has done in the WWE. Like he has done everything that he can. He's won the championships. He's become a Grand Slam champion. He's done everything, and it's time for him to just be at peace with what he has done in the company, and just this isn't tapping out in terms of like, oh, I'm giving up. This is tapping up in terms of, hey, I've done all of this stuff for it's sort of like a reflective slant to his whole career outlook, right? It's like I'm looking back and I'm seeing that, I've done a lot, and what is one loss to Gunther, what is that gonna do to me? Not really a lot, right? I want to build the future of the company. Obviously, he sees Gunther as the future, and he says, you know what? I'm gonna do this. I think it'll be more beneficial to Gunther than if I won, and my time is up. So I might as well give up, or not give up per se, but I might as well just tap and accept the reality that Gunther's the future. I'm gonna get left behind if I keep fighting. Like it's time to move on. So I think it's kind of like a neo noir kind of like a, I don't know, a gray ending to the whole thing. I can understand how it's bad from a storytelling standpoint. I mean, for God's sakes, Gunther tapped out to Jey Uso, and now he's tapping out John Cena. What kind of character consistency is that, right? But I think that's what they were going for from the finish. And I feel like the execution could have been better with the finish. If they had stuck that camera on Cena's face a little longer, if they played off of the movements of John tapping out, uh if they modified a couple things with the finish, I feel like they could have hit what they wanted to do from a storytelling standpoint with that finish better. As it is, people are blaming it on Triple H. I say I think this is Cena's call. This is how he wanted to go. And honestly, Cena thinks that this was the best way to go. So, oh well. All right. So, I guess the next question is, who is gonna be the next John Cena? People are gonna say probably Cody. Who knows? But time will tell who the next John Cena in the company will be. And yeah, that was sort of a long kind of thing about the finish, but oh well. People were chanting AEW. People were at Triple H. They were chanting "You effed up." They were chanting "Fu Gunther" to Gunther. I think Gunther did his job. People are now gonna hate him even more. He is gonna come in on Monday, and he is going to be booed out of the building for a significant amount of time. And I just hope that from Cena's last match, I hope that they can use this momentum to not necessarily push Gunther, but basically to try to make Gunther as authentically, um it's just make his push kind of authentic and more, and less like, we're gonna make him the next guy, so to speak, right? So yeah, I that's kind of a lot, but that's what I think anyway. So anyway, Cena's out, and we have Monday Night Raw to look forward to. And we are, as you know, on this show, we always book the next episode of Monday Night Raw on this show. We do it according to these rules. First one is blanked out because WWE doesn't follow them. If they do follow them consistently, then we will reinstate that rule. But for now, that is blanked. We will tell you our predictions and bookings for the next episode of the Monday Night Raw on this show in a little later. And after we do tell you those predictions and bookings from our end, we will watch the actual next episode of Raw. And then we will score our predictions and bookings based on this scoring system. And then we will come back here on the next episode and give you our points, and we will do it all over again. So, without further ado, let's get to the points. I got 9 points. I got the Gunther stuff except for Cena appearing. Cena did not appear. I got points for the Usos and Vision appearances. I got, well, it was one member of Kabuki Warriors versus one member of Rhea and Io as a tag team. So it's kind of like, I guess I counted that as half a point. I got AJ Styles and Dragon Lee winning their respective match, and then I have Roxanne and Raquel winning the respective matches there. That's how I got the 9 points. Mike, what did you get?
I got Gunther's promo. I got the same thing you did. One member of the Kabuki Warriors versus one member of Rio. I got Roxanne Perez, and I got one member of Roxanne Perez and Liv Morgan versus Lyra and Bailey. And that's about it as well. I did get LA Knight appearing, but I didn't have LA Knight actually showing up in the main event, which he did. So
All right, cool. Well, we'll see what this week will bring with regards to the Raw side. And boy, what a week it will bring. Or I suppose what an episode this will bring us. Because we only have, I think, Rey Mysterio versus Logan Paul to look forward to on this next episode in terms of what's announced. So, this is going to be a lot of booking and predictions from our end. See what they have in mind or what we think they'll have in mind. So, without further ado, let's book this thing and get to my version of the show first. As Gunther, the winner of John Cena's final match, goes to the ring. The crowd boos him incessantly. The crowd boos him. They say "F you, Gunther." They just chant a lot of mean things towards this man. And once the sort of noise calms down, I don't know if it'll even calm down. Gunther grabs a mic. He talks about his match with John Cena and how much that match meant to him. He said that last week, he said that he would force John Cena to do the one thing that he has never done in his career, which is to give up. And he delivered on his promise on Saturday by tapping out John Cena. He forced Cena to give up. He says that he understands that people are not happy. He understands that the people are upset. They're angry. They're mad with what happened. But he does not care because he delivered on his promise. He did what he was going to say last week. And he retired Goldberg. And now he retired John Cena. He has proven that he is the top guy in the company. And with that, he announces that he is going into the 2026 Royal Rumble in Saudi Arabia. And he is going to the Royal Rumble. And he says that he will win the Royal Rumble because he is going to get back the title that he was owed. And he wants to get back to the top of the mountain and prove once again that he is the top dog in the WWE, but only this time with a title. So, and that's it. I think that this will lead to Gunther winning the Royal Rumble. I think he's going to win the Royal Rumble. And again, I think that he's going to not challenge CM Punk. I think Gunther is going to face Cody Rhodes for the undisputed WWE Championship at WrestleMania. And then, I know this is kind of looking forward to a couple of months ahead, for sure. Plans could change. But I will have Gunther face Cody for the undisputed WWE Championship at WrestleMania. And then, I am going to have Roman Reigns win the Elimination Chamber. So he challenges Braun Breaker. And I'm going to have Braun Breaker be the champion here. So he wins against CM Punk on January 5th, Raw. And he holds that title. So I'm going to have Roman win the Elimination Chamber to challenge Braun Breaker for the World Heavyweight Championship at WrestleMania. Those are the two main events that I think are going to happen at WrestleMania next year. So it could be possible that Gunther may be challenging Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania. But I don't think that, like, him beating John Cena to him beating Brock Lesnar, I just don't think that that's the sort of trajectory that should be befitting of Gunther. I think that they should use this to get him on the title picture right away. And I think that him going into the Royal Rumble, because Royal Rumble is in a couple of weeks away, so they got to start building towards that. So he's going to enter the Royal Rumble, and I think he's going to win the Royal Rumble for the men's side. So he challenges. What did I say? He challenges Braun Breaker for the title. Or sorry, Cody. Cody for the title. Gunther versus Cody. Roman Reigns versus Braun Breaker. We move on to Io Sky versus Roxanne Perez. There's a backstage segment after the Gunther promo where Liv has to pick between going out for Roxanne's match or Raquel's match later on in the night. They both don't want her to go out, and they want to take care of this with each other. So Liv just stays back, and then we're going to have Io Sky winning this match between Io Sky versus Roxanne Perez. After the match, Kabuki Warriors come out to beat down Io Sky and Rhea Ripley. However, they are stopped by Lyra and Bayley, and that basically triggers the match later tonight between Lyra Valkyria and Kairi Sane. And that will be later on in the show. We move on to Jey Uso and Kofi Kingston. This is to build up the Usos and New Day feud. I'm going to have Jey Uso win by pinfall because, of course, after the match, the New Day beat up Jey, but they are stopped by Jimmy. Next week, or I should say the episode after this, I think it's going to lead to Jimmy Uso versus Xavier Woods, which leads to the Usos versus the New Day after that episode. And then whoever wins challenges AJ and Dragon Lee for the Tag Team Championships at the January 5th Raw. However, I'm going to have AJ and Dragon Lee retain. I think there's still some mileage out of that tag team to sort of have them, retain the title. So that's what I will do there. I will... I honestly don't know who will win the Usos and the New Day feud. I think they'll insert the Usos into that title picture against AJ Styles and Dragon Lee. But AJ Styles and Dragon Lee retain, and the Usos are going to have to turn heel. That's sort of my prediction. We'll see if they follow through with it, but I think that the Usos are going to lose if they do get a shot at AJ Styles and Dragon Lee, and they're going to have to turn heel, unfortunately. Moving on to Stephanie Vaquer versus Raquel Rodriguez for the Women's World Championship. Yes, I will have it booked for this. Why? Because I'm going to have Stephanie win because of a distraction from Nikki Bella. We're going to have Nikki Bella beat up Raquel after the match, which leads to Raquel Rodriguez versus Nikki Bella the episode after. However, I do think on January 5, we are going to have a triple threat match between the women to see who wins Stephanie Vaquer's title. And I'm going to have Stephanie retain the title on that triple threat match if it does happen on the January 5th edition of Raw. CM Punk goes out to the ring and talks about the last match that John Cena has had. He heard what Gunther said about entering the Royal Rumble, and he says that he will eagerly await Gunther soon if he does pick him to challenge the title. Again, Gunther is not going to say who he wants to face if he does win the Royal Rumble. I think he's just going to keep it close to his chest. So we're going to have Punk say that he will eagerly await him if he does pick Punk when Gunther wins the Royal Rumble. But he is more fixated on what Braun Breaker has said the past few weeks. He says if he wants the old CM Punk back, he will get it. And he then transitions into a semi-pipe bomb promo about Braun Breaker. He is then interrupted by Paul Heyman, who tells him that his days are numbered as champion and that Braun will get the title that he is owed by any means necessary. and that division are going to take his title on January 5, and they are going to do it with any means necessary. We have division ambush Punk. Braun grabs the title, raises it up, and drops it on top of Punk's body. And yeah, I think Braun is going to get the title on January 5th. As I said earlier, Gunther wins the Royal Rumble. Gunther does not challenge Braun Breaker. He instead challenges Cody Rhodes. And we're going to have someone else challenge Braun Breaker for his title. It'll be Roman Reigns. Moving on to Lyra and Kyrie having a match. And I'm going to have Lyra win by pinfall. After the match, the Kabuki Warriors beat down Lyra and Bayley, but they are saved by Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss, who are then stopped by Lash Legend and Nia Jax. Yes, we got to build up the women's tag team division. They've been focusing on it, so I think they're going to continue focusing on it. And on SmackDown, I think they're just going to throw in some more women's tag team action with this combination of ladies. So there you go. I don't know where it leads to. I'm guessing the next people are going to be Rhea Ripley and Io Sky taking on the Kabuki Warriors for the Women's Tag Team Championships. But yeah, that's what I'll have there, I suppose. Main event, Logan Paul versus Rey Mysterio. Yes, I will have this as the main event because of what happens afterward. I'm going to have Logan Paul win by pinfall because of Division interfering in the match. After the match, we have Division beat down Rey Mysterio. And this may seem kind of crazy, but we're going to have the LWO show up and try to help out Rey Mysterio. However, it is not... it does not end well. Let's just call it that. Because Division destroyed the LWO. And they celebrate. And Braun Breaker says to the camera, stuff like, Punk, this is your, I suppose, consequence, I guess. Like, this is what happens on January 5. Look at the ring. And then we're going to have, after the credits roll or whatever, we're going to have CM Punk show up. He tries to beat up Division. However, that it doesn't end well either. Because the Division are just pounding on Punk. And they celebrate as the show goes off the air. I really do think Braun will get the title. And I do think that Gunther will win the Royal Rumble. Those are like my two biggest predictions for next year. And yeah, that's about it. Any questions?
So what happens to you don't think Sami Zayn's going to win the Rumble? I mean, I'm still betting that he probably wins the Rumble. Because of the fact it's in Saudi Arabia. So Saudi shows are weird in the fact that they tend to have outside influence, as we would say.
I honestly, I think with what happened on Saturday, I honestly think that WWE should follow this up and not make sure that Gunther gonna lose his momentum. I don't know if they're gonna have him go out week after week just being like, I tapped out John Cena, and then the crowd just starts booing him. Like, that to me just sounds like they have no plans for Gunther. They're just gonna have him wallow every single week and just like have him come out there and just say, I tapped out John Cena, and then people just boo him. I just don't think that should be what's next for him. You know what I mean? I think that they should use this momentum to carry him into the title picture. And I think that he should get back into the title picture because, well, look who's on top on Raw. But as for Sami, I honestly think that it would be better for Sami to have a match and just have him win that match instead of winning the Royal Rumble. I think at WrestleMania, they are going to give Sami Zayn that moment in Saudi Arabia when they do their own WrestleMania. But I think that Sami Zayn winning the Rumble, I don't think that's a possibility now after what happened on Saturday. Because of of how much heat they are just putting on Gunther just by the finish alone, and just for the fact that they should follow up on that and just keep the momentum going with him and make sure that he doesn't get artificially pushed, but rather, people don't like him and he doesn't care because he's gonna use it to get to the top by any means necessary. So him winning the Royal Rumble, I think, makes sense.
Okay. Yeah, I can kind of get on that. But I'll explain where I think Gunther's going in my card, which we could do next.
All right. Well, let's move on then to your card, starting off with.
We have CM Punk coming out to start the show. CM Punk addresses why he's been gone for a while, that his dog Larry has died, unfortunately. And he comments on John Cena, and he also comments on his match next month against Braun Breaker. He is interrupted by Gunther. Gunther walks out, and he comes up to the ring and he challenges Punk to a title fight. CM Punk wants to be here and now, but Gunther says no. I'm gonna wait until you're done with Braun Breaker, and if Braun ends up being the champion, I'll take it off him too. And then Gunther walks off. Punk is attacked from behind by the Vision, and he is saved by Rey Mysterio and one Sami Zayn. So LA Knight has supposedly been written off television. So I think the next logical person to insert into this is Sami Zayn.
Much to the chagrin of many, by the way. Did you know that WWE is confused by people being mad that LA Knight was taken off TV? Did you know that? Did you know that they're confused by people being mad that LA Knight is off TV? This company,
Yeah, I
man,
mean,
like sometimes they don't know what the hell is going on.
I don't know why you would take LA Knight off TV. I mean, honestly, Raw is kind of lacking for heels. I mean, faces right now.
Yeah.
Because I mean, if you look at it, it's just CM Punk. I would say main event heels. I mean, main event faces, right? You have
Yeah.
you only have really CM Punk,
Roman Reigns, I
like
guess. Maybe.
Roman Reigns, sure. You have, I guess, Sami Zayn, if you want to put him in there. Jey Uso, but Jey Uso's going back into the tag team scene. So I don't. I even on SmackDown, it's just Cody. So it's very much like they're lacking for faces right now. Maybe they're trying to build some sort of, the Vision are dominating uh both shows, but I really think you could use a couple of faces to continue this feud, and writing off LA Knight is not going to help you with that. So
Yeah.
unless you have a plan to bring someone in, which they could be doing. I know they turned Carmelo face, so they could be possibly pushing him up the card.
I hope so.
Maybe bring in Obafemi, because I know Obafemi had a bit of a confrontation with Drew McIntyre. So maybe they have a plan to bring some guys in, but we'll see.
Yeah, we will see. Also, I kind of find it. What? What did I say there? I kind of find it weird that Rey Mysterio and Sami Zayn are the ones that you picked for Who Saves Punk. Is there sort of a science to that? Is it you just trying to get Sami onto that title picture or something? Because I get that Sami Zayn is going to win the Royal Rumble, and that's what you think. Fine, that's fine. I kind of think that Rey Mysterio would be better for something like an IC championship feud with Dominic Mysterio. I know that is unresolved. You still have him sort of bickering with Dominic Mysterio, and that I honestly think that it's probably for the IC championship. It's probably gonna go to a triple threat between Dominic, Ray, and Logan Paul. But I think that they should honestly just worry about Rey Mysterio not in division sense, but rather just deal with Dominic first and then go to division. If their intention is for him, Rey, to go into the IC championship picture and just fight for that against Dominic Mysterio. So kind of interesting to have you put him here. And Sami Zayn is Sami Zayn at this point. I think Sami Zayn is on SmackDown, but I guess he's on Raw now. So there you go.
Like I said,
But
man, that they're lacking for faces, and the only reason I have Ray come out for the save here is because he's feuding with Logan Paul at the moment. So,
okay, sure, I guess.
and I think this is how they push Sammy into the title scene.
Okay, so okay, title scene as in like CM Punk's title.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, and that makes sense given that you want Sammy to win the Rumble. So all right, fair enough. We will move on then to
Rey Mysterio versus Logan Paul. I think Ray wins despite the masked man coming in again to interfere on Ray's behalf, but this time Sammy is there to chase the masked man off. He chases the masked man into the audience and up the stairs out into the arena. Um, and then Ray is able to beat Logan with a 619, and that's how this match ends. I do think this eventually goes to a triple threat for the IC title, um, where I think probably Logan Paul takes it.
okay.
Yeah.
So you think Logan Paul takes the title off of Dominic Mysterio?
Yes, I think they're going to go with a Vision holding all the titles at one point run
Yep,
to make them a credible group.
makes sense. Yeah.
So, yeah.
All right. Yeah, I do think that too. I definitely agree with that. Probably around like WrestleMania, I guess. or even Royal Rumble, for sure. Like around that time period. All right. We'll move on then to
The Usos versus the New Day. This was confirmed last week in a after the War Raiders versus AJ Styles and Dragon Lee match. The Usos wanted to challenge the New Day to a fight. I think the Usos wanted to challenge AJ and Dragon Lee, but the New Day wanted the smoke as well. So this is how this match came to be. I think the Usos win. I think I agree with you in the fact that they eventually turn heel. I think what happens is the Usos get close and they can't finish, and then the Usos have to think, "Oh, how were we so successful before? Oh, right, we were heels, we were bad guys, so we got to be bad guys again." Um, I do think this is a better way for Jey to turn heel though, because it takes a bit of the heat off of him. But it's a very weird way because Jey was pushed as a main event guy and then just making him into a tag team guy and then turning him heel on a tag team is very awkward.
yeah.
Because I would have liked to see how he is as a main event, singles heel, but I guess we're never going to get that. So,
No. And I think that Jay has been displaying a lot of, I guess, heel tendencies. He's been crashing out,
yes,
so to
yes.
speak. So it makes sense that they would, almost be a title holder or almost be the title holders for the tag team championships, only for you know everything to fall apart and Jay sort of crashes out. Then we have this whole thing where Jimmy tries to, remain on the good side, but he realizes that they have to be bad. So yeah, no, I definitely get that point for sure. So do you still think that AJ Styles and Dragon Lee sort of hold the titles for a little longer, or do you think that it'll go to the New Day in the future, or
Um, I probably think it has to stay on a face team if you want to make the Usos heel. So maybe it goes to the War Raiders, possibly.
okay,
Or maybe one of the SmackDown teams moves over to it's a Raw, which is desperately
Wyatt
needed, by the
thing.
way. We do, yes.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I mean, I think AJ probably drops it maybe at the Rumble, so he can start his retirement tour, but as a singles guy. So we'll
Yeah,
see what he does. Yeah.
for sure. Yeah. Yeah, makes sense. We'll move on then from that to
We have a Judgment Day promo. So basically, this is the Judgment Day coming out and going over all their goals they want to accomplish, like some sort of stand-up meeting for them for the next couple of months. They are aiming for the women's tag team titles with Roxanne and Liv. They're aiming for the women's title with Raquel. They're aiming for the men's tag team titles with Dom and JD McDonagh. And Dominic already has, sorry, with Finn and JD McDonagh. And Dom already has the IC title. So they've got goals and they're here to get them. And they're going to start today by going after Rhea and Io on their way to try and become the number one contender for the suddenly very hot women's tag team titles. So, and this bleeds into our next match.
all right. We'll move on to that now.
We have Rio versus the Judgment Day. I think Rio win by a pinfall. I think Vaquer comes down for the save after Raquel Rodriguez comes in to beat down on Rhea and Io, and this leads to a brawl between them. And then eventually, builds up to their eventual feud, which may or may not include Nikki Bella. Probably not. Hopefully not.
All right. So you're saying that the next feed for Stephanie is with Liv Morgan, or
No, with Raquel Rodriguez.
oh, with Raquel. I'm sorry. Yeah. Okay. All right. So with Stephanie feuding with Raquel and Nikki Bella, do you think that Stephanie Vaquer will hold the title for a little longer? Like, where do you see Stephanie going here?
I could definitely see them giving it to Raquel, but um, it'd be a little bit awkward because Liv wants the title, and for her friend to get it is kind of weird. Um, but I could see it happening. I think Vaquer keeps it for a little bit, just because there's no like definitive number one woman on Raw right now. Usually it's very
Yeah.
easy to predict, if a person's going to get a title, if they can be like a definitive number one, right? Like right now it's CM Punk. Could very well be Braun Breaker with the way that he's been booked on SmackDown. Very easily it's Cody Rhodes, but it could also very well be Gunther, depending on where Gunther goes. So I don't think there's a concrete number one right now for women, and I think Vaquer continues her role as a transitional champion to eventually give it to someone. So
Hmm. Okay. All right. That makes sense. We'll move on to the main event then, which is
Sami Zayn versus Bronson Reed. I think Bronson Reed wins via pinfall. He is saved from being tsunamied multiple times by CM Punk. CM Punk comes out with a chair, is able to beat back the rest of the Vision. And that's how the show goes off the air with Sami Zayn and CM Punk in the ring, standing over the Vision. So
so you don't think LA Knight returns?
I was going to think that he returns.
Okay.
Yes, I was going to think he would, but then I remembered that they kind of put him through a car. Not really.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
A
forget if I
gimmick
addressed
car, I
this.
guess.
Did I address this? I didn't address this because this happened last week, right? On SmackDown, right? This happened on SmackDown. Um,
I don't know what you're going to refer to. So I'm
no,
gonna say yeah.
they put LA Knight through a car Friday, right? The night before Saturday night's main event, right?
No, that was Raw. Yeah,
I was
that's
wrong.
Raw.
Okay, so we haven't read. Okay, never mind. I probably talked about it last week, but that was the funniest thing ever, where they hit him in the car, and the alarm doesn't go off, so a person off screen is like hitting the trunk button. So it's just a little like beep 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 instead of the full car alarm, and it's like
Yeah,
clearly
yeah,
someone fucked up, and it
yeah.
was so funny. But I
Yep.
don't think LA Knight comes back. I think this is how they write him off TV for I don't know why, for some reason. Um, but yeah. Speaking of Cody Rhodes, and this is actually very much off topic. We were
Yeah.
watching the Game Awards like 2 days ago, right? And Roman and Cody came out together, which means Roman is a liar because he teamed with Cody
I knew,
on the movie.
I knew
So
you were gonna
clearly
mention
Roman
this.
is a liar.
Yes.
But no. I want to mention that there was a guy up there who I guess is playing Zangief in the movie. And holy fuck, is that guy huge? He made Roman look small. Do you know how hard that is to do?
Yeah.
He's 7'3". I think he's 7'3",
350.
350 pounds.
Yeah.
That's fucking insane, dude.
Yeah.
That's
That's meat right
crazy.
there. That is meat.
That's a big meat, man.
That is a smoked ribs. Is it smoked ribs? That's more like
That's not smoke. That's the whole cow, man. That's the whole cow.
Yeah, no, he is absolutely huge. I did say this when we watched the Game Awards, but if he was in the WWE, he would definitely cut it. Like he would
You would.
he
You would.
would he would be like their version of a Braun Strowman or like a Big Show. I yeah, he would definitely cut it. He would definitely go over. Like yeah, just based on his size alone. Like that's insane. But yeah, okay. Yeah. Anyway, I guess I had a question here regarding Sami Zayn being saved by CM Punk and the Usos in that
It's just
you're
CM Punk,
saying
not the
that
Usos.
that was what?
It's just CM Punk. I know I wrote the Usos down, but I don't think the Usos come out. I think it's just CM Punk. I
Oh,
think the Usos are staying
okay.
very, very clearly on the tag team titles. So
All right, never mind. Sorry. So, you're saying that Sammy would be saved by CM Punk. Now,
yes.
considering that Sam, you think Sammy's gonna win the Rumble, is this sort of a storyline where Punk is gonna trust Sammy for a bit, and then there's some betrayal happening, and that's how we get Sami Zayn versus CM Punk in WrestleMania, or
Um,
is this just a
no,
one time favorite?
I I think Bronson Reed wins the title on January 5th.
You
Because
mean
clearly
Braun
there's
Breaker?
not. Sorry, yeah, Braun. Yeah, thank you. Um, I think he wins it on January 5th because there's no help for CM Punk. There's
Yeah,
no faces left on Raw. LA Knight is written off. Maybe he has Sami Zayn, but um, I think that the Vision interfere and CM Punk is loses the match thanks to the Vision interference, and Braun Breaker holds the title until WrestleMania, where he is then probably challenged by a Roman Reigns, but could be challenged by a Sami Zayn as well. So
yeah, okay. I would definitely believe Sami Zayn challenging Braun Breaker like that. That makes sense to me. Okay, it's just that the road there you think is gonna be a little different. That's fine.
I'll counter you by saying I think Gunther probably wins Elimination Chamber.
Oh,
Yeah,
so you think Gunther's gonna challenge not Cody, but
probably Cody.
oh Cody? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Interesting for next year. Well, I certainly hope that, and I think you might agree. I hope they don't squander what they have with Gunther moving forward, because we're gonna be keeping a keen eye on what they do with Gunther, considering that he tapped out John Cena. So they better follow up on it, and we'll be keeping a close eye on what happens next, along with other things. But that is what we have for the next episode of Monday Night Raw. What we think will happen. As I stated earlier, we will watch the next episode of Monday Night Raw when it drops, and we will then come back here to tell you what we got for our points, and we will then book our predictions and bookings for the next one. So, thank you so much for ordering a pepperoni pizza from Grapperinos, called probably next week on Raw. And remember, if you are down for some fresh, oven-baked, crispy wrestling content, stop by Grapperinos and order yourself some content you can grapple with. See you next time, Grapperinos. Boop, boop, boop.